Right, I fell asleep because of a whole night of useless NHS 111 calls. And then I fell asleep and I missed 2 calls from the GP surgery. Because this precious had passed my details on to the GP, Dr. Stewart, and then it's gone to this Dr. Dixon. I just had about an hour's conversation with him. I'm very angry, and I kept saying, don't take it personally. Of course, a lot of people have said to me, I'd be more angry than you. This is what you call war. This is war. This is against... I noticed how Dr. Dixon was a little bit nervous when I mentioned the PCR test. Hope you're not going to edit my live stream like you did before. Anyway, sometimes they like to tamper with my live streams, you see, and edit bits out. But Dr. Dixon, he's referred me to... I was telling him all the horror stories and everything, etc., etc. And he said I could do with a blood test. This social worker landlord who said to me in supported accommodation, you might want to check you haven't inherited your mother's cancer. I'm very frightened. That was 13 years ago. And then he said he was saying some really dodgy, weird things. I think he's in the club. But yeah, he was exploiting all of us vulnerable people. And he said I knew too much. That was 13 years ago. I do now. I do now know too much. I knew nothing back then. Having a laptop does help, of course. But it can also be not what you know, but who you know, so to speak. And it's just been a real eye-opener what is going on and how innocent, vulnerable people like me are having these crimes committed against us. He got a little bit nervous when I mentioned that I was forced into having a PCR test against my will, and I said that they've been contaminated. They wouldn't let me out of my room unless I took a PCR test. This was about 50 minutes in, and he said, right, well, we have been talking for a long time now. I've seen them do that on Jeremy Vine. When they don't like what someone says or a call handler, it's like, yeah, well, we've been on the phone for some time now, and I think we better go to the next call handler, you know. Well, it doesn't matter anyway, because I've privately recorded the conversation. But Dr. Stewart didn't like me saying what I said about the Freemasons, and I was very direct on the Lighthouse Practice website. But Dr. Caro had already not been interested. It's very interesting that Dr. Dixon said you might want to, you've got a vitamin D deficiency and wish we should see if you've got an underactive thyroid, because Dr. Caro said I didn't have an underactive thyroid, but my partner does. Because I said, well, me and my partner are very similar with how drained we are, and I know that stress is doing this. So they're now saying come for another blood test. I don't trust anyone. Do not trust the words of any man. You know, Yahweh has the hand on that. Put your prayers upwards. Pray for that hedge of protection, because at the end of the day, you know, but I'm hearing different things. But this Dr. Caro didn't think I had an underactive thyroid, and he thought I was going off on a tangent. And then hours later, I live streamed me being attacked by a licensee who left blood on my room door. It's an absolute miracle. It's an absolute miracle that I've managed to last as long as I have. They're talking about coming down to the surgery for a blood test when I haven't been out for days because of what I've been put through. For nearly 2 weeks, I didn't wash myself. It was something like, was it 2 weeks? I don't know. I didn't manage to take care of my personal hygiene. And then what tends to happen is I go in the sheep dip and do a full-on OCD scrub. Yeah, that's what happens. They want you to give up. They just want you to give up. So yeah, so he's passed me to community connectors, and I did apologize. I do that thing where I say, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry." And yeah, and by the way, I did text Dan to, even though Dan doesn't want to respond because I don't understand Dan from Police Abusing Powers. I've unsubscribed. I've really lost my respect. I can't watch him again now, which is sad because you know, I'm not being funny, Dan, if you see this, but I really never wanted to say this but when someone lets me down, they let me down, and I don't suffer fools gladly. I like to know where I stand with people, and you came across as someone who tells it how it is, and yet you're being very nervous because your supporters. You need to. I know that is how difficult it is because when you're the people pleaser, I know what it's like. You're like, you don't want to upset anyone, but you've got to be clear with people. You've got to be clear. You can't, otherwise you're just as bad. You're complicit in it if you join it, Dan. Dan from Police Abusing Powers. I've said you've got to tell this Scott, because he emailed you making out he was helping me, and he did the same with Tina Chafe. I could report Tina Chafe for this because she set up a website. She has 40 years of experience. She's qualified. She's already let me down very severely. She's falsely offered me services and told me to ring her. My conversations with you and her were private. But she thinks that what this Scott did was all right. Now, this has to stop because the MP office has already reported him to the police. I've reported him on YouTube and he's continuing to harass me. I like to know where I stand with people. I'm a vulnerable person. You help that vulnerable person. You're very careful with what you do. Anyone can do what Tina has done with me. Anyone can do that. And I'm going to personally respond. If she can't even be responsible enough to phone me when she told me to phone her, and yet she wants me to email her. She was swearing in the live chat. I saw the language she used whilst I was being abused, and I had to report your channel in the end, and I'm still being harassed and threatened. I'm really holding back my anger because I talked up this woman, and I realized that's what she wanted me to do. She wanted me to big up an ego of a woman that I don't know about. Anyone can do what she's done. A child could do that. Set up a website, find the very people that have failed me. I've just had a sleepless night from the same old messing around with all the phone calls, going around the houses, and I've spoken to this doctor. It got very heated from my end, and I had to partly apologise. But I said how all the charities have failed me. This is what Tina was supposed to know about. And on that note, I'm not going to waste my time emailing if she can't even phone me. I wish I'd recorded that conversation I had with her where she falsely offered her services. But I would just like to say that as for the sanctuary, yeah, I filled out an online application form with them. Nah, nothing ever came of it. Samaritans, everybody knows the Samaritans. I've been down to the Samaritans. I've spent hours down there. They all know me. But as you said, Tina, you introduced yourself as a nosy cow back in February, was it? When was the first time that you introduced your services? Because you're actually starting to sound just like this Princess Angela who's been threatening me, or did threaten me under the video where I exposed abuse from police abusing powers, and she's then claims she's got clients. Something sits very uncomfortably there. So I would query your credibility. But yeah, if you're watching this, you've got to tell this Scott to leave me alone. I'm feeling very, very, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I'm that ill. I'm fighting evil of, I just wonder about who are the people that you get on your channel. And, you shared me that video where you were crying to them, where you felt suicidal. And these people, you were showing me how supportive they were. You were going to go and do yourself in, and you're showing how supportive they are. Yet they're the same people who have attacked me. Your tears were real, but were you really crying about the right thing? Because those people have attacked me, and if I have to call the police, which I don't want to do, because the whole idea is we're exposing their corruption. You're just as bad as each other. Right, I'm not wasting any more time. I need to have some rest.